Hi everybody, it's Christina from Pretty Distressed. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use a water-based stain over an existing finish. So if you want to change up the look of something you have around your house without completely stripping back that finish, just keep watching. If you are new to my channel, I am a furniture painter and refinisher, and what that means is I'm normally taking things from around my home or things that I get on the cheap or things that I'm doing for clients, and I make them over into new creations. If you're interested in learning about furniture refinishing, please consider subscribing before you leave. Today's video is going to be an extension of a project that I already shared with you guys, this game table from the 1980s that I made over. If you guys haven't seen that video, I will link it up above so you can check it out. What I did not show you in that video is the other side of the game table, which is the poker side, and how I refinished that because that video just got way too long. So today I'm going to be showing you what I did to take this orangey yellow tone out of this poker table without stripping back that finish and getting into that detail. While I'm doing this technique on this game table, this is a technique that you could use on a kitchen table or a nightstand, really any type of wood finish that has a varnish on top of it that you don't want to strip back, whether it's because there's a lot of detailing or you don't have a sander or you just don't want to deal with the mess of using a stripper or a sander to get that finish off. I'm going to be using General Finishes water-based stain to show you this technique today, so let me zoom you in and we'll get started. It is easy for you to see why I decided not to strip the varnish off of this piece. With all these holes, it would have just been really hard and taken a long time. So this is a great alternative, putting the stain right on top of an existing finish. All you have to do to start is clean your piece off with some water and some mild soap like Dawn. And then the second step, I'm going in with vinegar and water and a Scotch pad, or it's, a rough side of my sponge here. You could also do bleach and water. The thing that they really recommend doing is denatured alcohol, watered down to 50-50, diluted a little bit, but that's flammable. I didn't think most of you guys would have that in the house, so I'm just doing the natural vinegar wash. And after you scrub this down really well with that vinegar, you're just going to go back in with some water and rinse it, and then you're going to let it completely dry. I let mine dry overnight. Once it's completely dry, you're going to rough it up a little bit with a 220 or 320 grit sanding block. You want it to be fine like this. You're not taking off the finish, you're just roughing it up, scuffing it up to give the stain something to stick to. So in the little divots here, I took a piece of sandpaper that I had. This is actually a sanding disc that goes on my orbital sander just to get in those little grooves and nooks and crannies. But if you're doing a flat surface, you could just use that sanding block all across the top. After you're done sanding your surface, you're going to go in with a tack cloth or a vacuum, just something that can remove all that dust. The tack cloth is sticky, so it's going to get a lot of that dust off. Don't just use a paper towel or something, because you really want to get all that residual dust up before you start sanding. Last step I'm doing to prep my piece is just taping off any parts that I don't want to get stain on. Here it's my felt top of my game table. For you, it would likely be the apron if you're doing a two-tone finish. Just any spots that you don't want to get stain on, you really want to make sure that you tape those off to protect them. So I am doing the same process all around the table to prepare it for my stain. Just like I did on the other side, I'm using General Finishes water-based wood stain in gray stone. It's the same process. You need to mix it up really well. This is really chunky in the can, so you got to mix it really good until it's nice and smooth. I'm using a foam applicator, this chip brush, a paper towel, and then a lint-free rag just in case, which I'll show you in a second. So I'm just getting a little bit of the stain on the applicator, and I am painting that on pretty thick in the direction of the grain, just like I always apply stain. I had this big foam brush. It probably would be easier if you had a small one, but this was the only one that I had on hand and it worked fine. So I am just dragging that stain across all the flat parts first, and then I got a little bit too much on the side here that already had stain, so I wanted to wipe that away. If you get it in areas where you don't want it, make sure you wipe it away right away. But I'm just going in here following the grain on these flat parts, and then I'm going to go into those little holes where your poker chips go and your cup holder right here, and just kind of push that stain in there. If you're doing a flat tabletop, you won't have to worry about this process here. So at this point, I know what you're thinking. Christina, that's really streaky and there's big blobs. That doesn't look good. Well, you're right. That's where this chip brush comes in. You're going to use that to kind of feather out the stain and push around any parts where you have too much stain, just to even it all out. And as I'm doing this, I have that paper towel on hand and I'm just kind of blotting that excess stain off. Another tip that you can do is get some of General Finishes Extender, it's called. I'll link it down below so that you can check it out, but it actually opens up the dry time length of this so that you'll have more time to manipulate it and play with it before it dries down. So that's a great thing. You can just put it on the paper towel and it'll kind of help with the blotting and the smoothing process. But as you can see, I am not using the extender and everything went okay for me. So I'm just going to keep smoothing out this stain until I don't have any splotches left. As you can see, I'm working in small sections because of the way that this table's marked off. It makes it really easy to do that, and it's going to help my stain not dry out on me, and just do a little bit at a time. General Finishes has a lot of great tips and recommendations for working with their stains, obviously. So their website is a great place to learn more about the application and just all the specs and dry times and just tips and tricks and everything like that. So I definitely recommend visiting their website and checking out their product page. I'm gonna let this dry for 2 hours before I come back and top coat it. I decided to only do one coat because I liked the way it was looking after one coat. Once my stain was dry for 2+ hours, I'm going to top coat it with the General Finishes High Performance Flat, which is a water-based top coat. It's the same top coat that I used on the other side of the table. This as well, you really need to stir it up really well and make sure it's smooth before you apply it. And I did go to the store and get a smaller foam brush because I thought that would make the top coat process a little easier and do less smears and chunks, which I don't want on a top coat. So I started in the divots first. This top coat is really milky white when it's wet, but it does dry down completely clear, and it's self-leveling. So if you see pockets or lap marks, those pretty much level out and they'll disappear as it dries. So especially in these little divots, you can see that some of my top coat is pulling in there and looks really white. Not to worry, it did dry down clear and I didn't have any big puddles of top coat in there. When you are finishing a tabletop or a dresser, you won't run into this issue. You just want to make sure that when you're applying this top coat, you apply it with the grain, that you're not reworking it too much, that you just put it on and move on to the next section, because it does start drying down pretty fast because it is a water-based top coat. This top coat will dry down in about 2 hours, and General Finishes recommends 3 coats of top coat over your stain. So I've completed this section. I'm going to go around and do everything and again let it dry for 2 hours. When you come back to do that second and third coat, you're just going to grab that really fine 320 or 220 sanding pad and give it a light sanding, going with the grain. You're just kicking up a little bit of dust and giving the top coat something to stick to. You want to be careful not to strip back too much, so you don't want to dig into your stain and ruin all that beautiful work that you just did. And then I grabbed my tech cloth again just to get all that dust off before I add that next coat of top coat. This is applied just the same way the first one was applied, and then I'm gonna wait again 2 hours, sand it down, and do it all over again for that third coat. If you would like to see me do this process on a nightstand or a table, just comment down below and maybe I can make a full video on that. And here is a side-by-side comparison of the original look of the table next to a completed section with the stain and top coat. As you can see, no more yellow or orange. Thank you guys for watching this video all the way to the end. If you have any questions about the technique that I used today, just leave them down below in the comment section. I'll be back with another project soon. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you guys next time.